Hey, what's up? Welcome to Fear, Porn, Propaganda. Today we're going to talk about consciousness, and we got a panel going today. We're just going to keep going on the topic of that.
Oh yeah, there's also the extraterrestrial, artificial intelligence.
Yeah, so last time we were talking about this in like the scientific terms, and we didn't really expand upon that very much, so I wanted to bring it up. There's a scientific development, it's sort of new, and it deals with cognitive science.
You need to introduce yourself.
Oh, okay.
For the people that don't know, I'm Wise and you are
I'm Anon,
2150.
2150.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so anyway, I just sort of wanted to have like a philosophical discussion about consciousness because it's such a broad range of topics you can talk about on it.
And welcome everybody in the panel. There's like Citizen of Gotham, Truth of Life, Eric, Catherine, and Tony. Welcome, guys, and welcome everybody in the chat.
How everybody doing?
How's it going? So,
well, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for the invite.
Cool.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, so the first thing that came out at me with this topic is like the hard question, which is something brought up by another philosopher, David Chalmer, I think his name is. But it basically asks the question, how did consciousness arise from the structure of matter, right? And that really is a difficult concept to try to wrap your head around. So there's fields of scientists. Sorry, guys.
I don't think consciousness rose from matter. I believe matter rose from consciousness.
Yeah, and that's one of the key beliefs that human beings have developed through the course of their evolution. It's basically the belief that we were created in the image of God, and then that must be what is at the center of consciousness and, our belief systems. I think that's an interesting side to explore as well, aside from like the scientific aspect of it, but this belief in what's like a panpsychism, which is the view that consciousness is universal and primordial, and the quality from which all other features of the universe are derived. So it has like a micro to macro physical collective consciousness or oneness, like basically a self-aware quality of the universe. And then from that, the material realm or the material world that we experience has developed. Anyway, I think that there are certain elements of the scientific aspect that lend pretty clear credence on like how to guide us to understanding this principle. And one of them is through anthropology. Anthropology is like the study of humanity, primarily concerned with the social evolution of humanity in terms of biology, and things like that. There's also the migration patterns that human beings have followed, and how they've interacted with their environment and things like that. So anthropology is like a cool aspect. So all of this consciousness science, really, that from what I can see, is derived solely from the human experience. We don't try to perceive like the cognitive or conscious abilities or qualities that other things might have in the universe. We're only concerned with ourselves. So in those terms, plants don't have consciousness, because consciousness, as we define it, is like a neurological, chemical um, function of the brain. Um, and, and the reason for that is a materialistic viewpoint. We need things to put qualities on and quantify and things like that.
Mhm.
So,
But
so
when you think about nature, nature is automatic as opposed to consciousness has to be uploaded because if you don't know about it, you may not know about it. But the tree still gonna grow if the seed is planted properly. Because how do we get to this level of consciousness except we had to learn more?
yeah. We see all of these things from our own personal perspective, and that's why like we place ourselves, our consciousness, at least that's what I think, that's why we place it at the center of our belief in the natural world. Because really, what is consciousness? All it is an awareness of experiences, and um, is that which all experience is based upon. Um, so anyway,
That is true.
I was just
Well, I
uh,
wonder what, if I may. There's a question, and the question is, what's the one thing that connects all of us?
The heart.
I would say consciousness is a like our only um, really truly shared quality. We all have a perceived oneness of ourselves. Like we perceive ourselves as individuals, and that's kind of how we see
Um,
God or the nature of the universe acting as well, like as a singularity. And even physics is trying or attempting to point to like a singular definition of the universe, like an equation that basically explains it all. And it's sort of ridiculous in a way because it's all infinite, and that's what the
So,
universe
okay,
tells me.
a
so if you,
fit. So here's the twister. What about the retarded and their consciousness and their non-development?
Yeah, there's a whole field of science attempting to answer those questions based on quantitative evidence, like exciting certain parts of the brain in people who are in vegetable type states to get a true sense of what they experience or what they might be cognitively aware of. And with good reason, too, because you wouldn't want to live a life like that. You wouldn't want to be stuck like that, knowing if people
Right.
knew that you were still aware and you were basically suffering and every day was pain, and if you were ever able to fall asleep, you'd have nightmares. I mean, what kind of a life would that even be? Anyway,
Right.
this is a little bit of the darker side of consciousness, which deals completely with the psychology of consciousness. And we develop psychology through our not only our biological mechanisms, but through our cultural mechanisms and things like that, environmental influences. And I'm trying to get to all of the different branches of the science, which there are 6 of them. I'll tell you what they are real quick. Philosophy, psychology, linguistics, anthropology, neuroscience, and then lastly, artificial intelligence, which is pretty cool because this topic has that branch for us to pretty much talk about anything. You know, cool stuff. Anyway, um, so
yeah. Again, I need to ask this question. What is the one thing? There's one thing that connects everything in the universe, including the universe. What would that be?
what would my answer be?
Yeah, take a shot
Consciousness.
at it.
Consciousness.
Yeah, but if you ask 100 different people what consciousness is, you're going to get probably
Yeah.
100
No
different.
one can define it.
Right, right. But but
Right.
but but they are working on an answer, and the answer the answer to my question is not consciousness. It's space. Space has a structure. You know, I always used to think that between me and my laptop sitting here in front of me, that the space was empty, but it's not. And if you're in outer space too, if you're an astronaut and you're tethered to your capsule and you're out, flying around there a little bit, what between the astronaut and the capsule, you would think you would think that that space was empty, but it's not, and it has a structure.
Hmm. I believe it.
Okay, so the structure that they're working on has something to do with the photon. And the photon, and I'm not an expert on this stuff, so correct me, anytime you feel like it. But the proton, if I remember correctly, is in the nucleus of an atom. All right. So now the next thing I'd like to point out is you have electrons orbiting the nucleus of an atom. And as far as we know, this has been going on for 13 point some billion years. So the question is, where did the energy come from that, and these electrons are orbiting the nucleus of an atom at near the speed of light. So where did the energy come from to keep all that going? And just a little question for thought.
It it suggests that I'm sorry. It suggests that the universe is infinite in its energetic qualities.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was thinking that the energy came from us because it's just us down here. I'll be glad when we can get this, that it's just us down here doing everything. It's us creating, us inventing, experimenting. It's just us down here. If it's not something extraterrestrial or alien or whatever like that, then it's just us doing it, and we need to begin to take responsibility for it. Period.
Well, how about this then? You got the sun, and the sun spins. The sun has a spin to it. You've got the planets that they spin around the sun within the solar system, and the solar system is within the galaxy, and the galaxy is actually spinning. So, long story short is that the physicists of the past, um, they found this energy, and the answer to the equation was that energy is infinite, and so they couldn't deal with it. So they just kind of put it on the shelf and left it alone. But you've got the planets spinning, you've got the solar system spinning, you've got the galaxies are spinning, and so where did the energy come from for all? I mean, this has been going on for billions of years. Where's all that energy coming from?
Apparently, it comes from nothing, like infinite emptiness. Like if you look at what would be the real difference between the infinitely large and the infinitely small? It would be hardly anything recognizable. Just sort of like we would see similar patterns emerge, like as far as a macrocosmic range, and like you were saying, not only
See,
like in
Yeah.
the
Well, what about a magnet? You know, like a magnet has like a certain type of energy that we can't see, but we can
Right,
perceive because
exactly.
of like certain types of ways of doing it. Like you can use shards, you know, of iron and put it on paper and put it above the magnet, and you can actually see the
and you can see the
area
field.
of
Yeah,
where there's a magnet
you can
or
see the
where there's
you can
potential or super potential.
you can see the field that the magnet creates if you use the
Yeah,
metal shards, right?
and they call that in science super potential.
super
I mean,
potential.
I mean, you,
That's the energy that's not being used by the magnet.
So maybe there's an equal amount of energy being used to not being used.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think that's,
How could that be possible? Because
in
there's so
my
much empty
opinion
space.
at this point, that would explain dark matter or dark energy,
There's a whole other thing going on behind the scenes.
yeah, exactly.
especially
I
with an
mean,
electromagnet.
So we're just
you,
basically a range, a spectrum in a larger scale of things that just appears to be infinite. Probably is because
Well,
we
we are
couldn't.
all kind of magnetic on a certain level, and we all
I,
vibrate at certain capacities.
I'm kind of glad you brought up the subject of dark energy and dark matter because what's been uh, what's been postulated or theorized now and proven is that there's no such thing as dark matter or dark energy. It's something that they made up. The physicists made that up to create, it's like a fudge factor. They just created it and said, well, if we use this much energy from dark matter, that creates that completes the formula, and our formula is correct now.
So the formula for the universe is very simple. It's the sign for whatever infinite is.
And whatever you're thinking at the
That's the
time.
unified. That's the
and
simplest
then
equation.
and then where they really got the dark matter from too, biblically, it's just how he created light out of darkness.
Well, I know.
You gotta always check those things too. We was
I,
created out of darkness, and then inside your mother's womb it's dark, right? You got some water in there, but it's dark. You come out of darkness into the light, even in the Bible. So you came out, he brought me out of darkness into the marvelous light. So it's always a dark and light thing. Those are in the dark are dark. Those are in the light are light. So then you colorize the people. Oh, the dark skinned it. Oh, the light skinned it. So it's just like they've been playing us.
Yeah, and in the Jewish tradition, it's like shades of dark or light. Shades.
They've just been making up stuff as they go along. That's why I said it's just us down here. All these new words are coming
Looks
out.
like
All this new lingo and language is coming out as opposed to when it was in the 70s and the 80s. We got all new terminology now. They don't even want to call you retarded. They want to call you special this or that. They don't want to call you crazy no more. They want to call you PTSD or SADD or whatever D's they want to add to your shit.
I can see why people are a little bit crazy nowadays with the way
You
things are.
know? So they keep switching the program, and we just keep following. See, we need to begin to change the program, and then they follow us.
The program is being changed. These physicists nowadays that are onto this new discovery um, are in the process of straightening out the lies or misconceptions of the past, and the the knowledge about these discoveries and these corrections will be common knowledge within the next 5 years, uh, at the least.
Yeah, but
And
again, they're just models, you know.
No, 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 no. When you can reproduce an experiment time after time after time in the laboratory, they pretty much say
Yeah,
this is.
controlled setting. That means that that you're observing it. Someone's observing it, which means they're creating it with their own mind. So they're creating the outcome.
Oh,
You see,
creating outcome.
see,
and they
this
do
is
it
what I
every
said.
time because they're observing every time. If they don't observe it, they're going to get a different result. And that's been proven.
Well, okay. How
Okay.
about this? They have
With the
a
two-slit thing,
number.
experiment.
Oh yeah, let's talk about
Yeah,
that.
I know what you're talking about. But they
you
have
you know the two-slit experiment.
yes, I
Yeah.
understand. I've seen. But you know they have a number for the amount of matter within the universe, and it's a 1 or a 10. I can't remember. It's one or the other, followed
But again,
by
that's math. We're using
yes,
math there. That's
yes.
constructed by an observation. It's still constructed by whoever observed it,
Now
and
wait
they
a minute.
created it.
But what? But they're saying the amount of mass in the universe, the observable universe. They put a number on it.
I
Okay.
know, but they could just create a number and then go and then figure out a timeline that would equal out that number because of the observation.
Well, if they did it incorrectly, a peer-reviewed paper, you know, they would be laughed. You know, they'd be laughed out of the room if they were just fudging it. It's something that they all agree on.
I would agree with you there, yeah.
Hey, can I
We
ask a
would
question?
have to all agree on it, because
How
Well,
would
I'm
otherwise
you
we'd
just
have
trying.
discrepancies.
how
Let,
would you
let
ex-
me get through my point here real quick before I forget.
Go
The
ahead.
and I'm not drunk or anything. I'm just tired. But anyway, and I haven't been drinking at all. I know I probably sound a little bit like that, but it's just the way I am. But anyway, this number is 1 followed by 55 zeros. Okay, that's the observable amount of mass in the universe. Well, if you take a proton, now this is where it gets twisted. If you take a proton, a single proton has the mass of the 1 or the 10 followed by 92 zeros.
Okay.
And that's just one proton. It is it it has the mass of the entire universe plus. I mean the universe is 10 to the 55, and the proton is 10 to the 92. You have to add like 39 more zeros to get up to the mass of the proton.
Yeah,
And each,
basically time stops too when you get there. Like when you introduce infinite energy to like any particle, it just like time stops. It takes on infinite qualities. It exists everywhere in the universe and yet nowhere at the same time. And it just all alludes to the fact for me that the universe is infinite. And if you accept that that's the singularity, I mean, then you can get rid of ideas like the fall of man from the consciousness of God, or you know achieving it somehow.
well, it's like the, our body's made up of some 100 trillion cells, and within the cell, there's 100 trillion atoms, and within the atoms, there's each atom holds a proton. If it's say a hydrogen atom, which is the atom that they use to measure by because it's one of the most abundant. Uh, it's the most abundant something or other in the universe, and that's what they use to work these figures out. So,
Yeah,
I mean, just think of it for a second. You have to add 39 zeros to get to the mass of a proton, and there's trillions of protons in our bodies,
yeah,
right? And so these protons are constantly phasing in and out
Yeah, it's like
of
Well, do the protons have
the smaller
consciousness?
you go down, the more infinite the potential for energy. That's just the truth of it, and I think that might be the
that
first and last result, first and last frontier on
that
the
is the truth of
infinite
it.
evolutionary
And
journey that our universe has.
Well,
Yeah,
let's
to
explore
suck
that.
us for their energy.
and they're
Does protons have
they're
consciousness?
Protons, are they conscious?
I
Anybody?
believe they are.
I'll give him that. I don't really care.
Well,
That
because like,
protons are conscious?
I would think that
yeah,
if we were to think that the universe is infinite, we would have to then ask ourselves another question.
well,
Oh
you know,
wait,
atoms
well,
essentially are,
can I
right?
can I break it down in the two split experiment analysis,
Okay.
like analogy?
Go,
I mean, so
go.
in particle physics, the famous two-slit experiment suggests that particles can behave as both a particle and as a wave. When a particle behaves as a wave, it theoretically exists in two places at once, like I was saying. Or in other terms, it exists as a wave of infinite potentialities, suggesting that
Super potentials.
particles are waves of potential. Like particles are but waves of potential. Um, and if we have the consciousness to observe that, then what qualities does the universe have to create something like us? And we observe the universe and we can see this, like we can understand it in our mind's eye. Like we'll never be able to fully experience all of those qualities, at least not from our perspective, but we can know that it's there. And so that suggests that consciousness itself might have infinite qualities. If consciousness has infinite qualities, it's not out of the realm of possibility to say that the universe itself is self-aware, that it is consciousness,
It is.
or has a consciousness, has a
It
conscious,
does.
has all these other qualities as well. It has all these other infinite qualities as well. It has infinite qualities to the fucking nth degree and shit. Like you're saying.
And
And
and,
so,
and I'm sorry. Go
go ahead.
ahead.
No,
Well,
man.
I was just wanted to mention that we are the focal point of of the universe looking back on itself. That's how come the universe knows everything, and it's everywhere. I forget those words. Omnipotent and omnipresent. It's by the photon.
Yeah. So we're but like a splash of its true essence on the material world that we're like cast across this on our own little plane of existence on a rock somewhere in the universe with the sun and gravity and all that.
So that pretty much
Well,
to our topic because the extraterrestrial artificial intelligence will be super
The
like
artificial
super.
intelligence might have picked up on it.
No, I'm saying that an extraterrestrial version of artificial intelligence
Okay.
would be more
Oh
intelligent
yeah,
than
yeah.
our version of artificial intelligence, according to our understanding of extraterrestrials.
I'm gonna have to jump in and explain why we are jumping to artificial extraterrestrial intelligence. So we pretty much got there because we were talking about we know the universe well as far as like in scientific terms the universe is like 13.8 billion years or some shit like that. I don't know, some
yeah,
numbers that are really big. And then life on our planet began like maybe 4 billion years ago. So that all led to us, and that leaves like 3 times much more, like for a third of the time that our life on Earth has been evolving. Um, there's been twice as much time for other planets and things to evolve as well. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to say that other parts of the universe could have evolved consciousness like our own, and we communicate our crazy thoughts and shit like we're doing now, and about the universe and our theories about it. But um, who's to say that aliens couldn't have also developed computer technology? and they
Who's to
might
say?
have.
Who's to say that? Who could have created that? Who did you say?
Oh, an artificial
Yeah.
intelligence created by biological organisms like ourselves, just
Okay.
on a different planet somewhere.
Yeah.
So if they developed this in the past, and we develop it as well, then what if it's learned some of the secrets of the universe to where it could send messages through long distances of space? And if that were the case, then maybe if we developed an artificial intelligence, that it could pick up on a message sent by an artificial intelligence um, that was, extraterrestrial, and then hack our system.
You know, that kind of was explored with Philip K. Dick's book Valis,
Okay.
in a way. Not completely, but like it was like a satellite.
Really?
You know,
Because I
like
thought I thought that was an original thought.
well,
Damn it.
you haven't read it obviously, so
No, I
you know,
haven't.
and like minds do same things.
Yeah, it's okay.
Hey, can I ask a question? Have you ever seen an alien outside of being on television?
In real life, you mean?
Yeah, in real life, real talk.
No, but I've seen some flying saucers.
You've probably seen military people driving them because they only got sophisticated. But see, what I'm trying to say is the term alien comes from somewhere, the root, the origin, right? So now that we have the alien movie, we know what it looked like, we got the pictures of it, we got descriptions of it. So now we thinking that, oh, could they even have advanced technology? Because yeah, they show aliens having advanced technology. So it's like they more so pick our brain as opposed to we are picking theirs over one word alien. Now, when they describe some people coming into this country, they call them what aliens, foreigners, and what are they? Oh, they're the ones that are from outer space somewhere coming to take over my country or take over my land, send me to your leader, and all these other different kind of alien technologies that we have to deal with. So it's like when you saw a space saucer a long time ago, like yeah, it might have looked circle, and now they got big ass motherships appearing everywhere. It's like yeah, because we done built them shits, from showing y'all the fucking movies.
So aliens are just sort of like, it just means the others. So
Yeah,
there's like a
exactly.
superstition that
Right.
that we have, human beings, that there are other beings that exist in other dimensions and other realms and things like that. And it's a lingering theme in human culture. Pretty cool.
Yeah, in some cases we call them ghosts because I've seen a lot of shit. So now I'm wondering, can I call that an alien that wrapped me up in the basement? Could that be alien? A face like my father, but it had Harry Potter cloth of them death demons when it rolled off of me. It was like, could that have been an
Yeah.
alien? What do we really still call it? Because I'm
Yeah.
still trying to define that one incident in my own thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. People
You know,
have image, like people see shit too. You know,
I'm
people.
talking about
There are
being
people who
wrapped
just
up,
see
bro.
crazy shit.
Right. Yeah, if people see crazy shit, but I'm talking about being wrapped the fuck up for real. I'm
What do
talking
you,
about they put
can I
hands on me.
can I throw something in here?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, what is the general consensus here? Do you believe that we do share our space with other beings here on the planet?
Yes, because after being touched up by something unknown, even though I said I had the face of my father, he even had glasses, and he wrapped my arm, he put me in the figure eight. You know what I mean? I called on Jesus 3 times, and then he got up off me and went through the wall, but as he left, I got black Harry Potter cloth rolled off my fucking arm on some serious black death shit. And it's just like after having that experience, because you said consciousness is based upon the experience, it's like I can tell a story that many
Okay.
others can't. It's something else out there. It's real. Because after you, like I said, you may see it, but once it touch you, it's like get the fuck off me.
So, what about you, uh, Tony, Fear Porn, citizen of Gotham? I forgot all your first names. I'm sorry.
okay.
Was you
Okay.
asking me a question?
What is your opinion on there are more than human beings sharing our space?
That's the thing. I've seen flying saucers, but like Eric said, I don't know who was driving them. But um, as far as uh, other beings from other planets sharing our space here on Earth,
Or any
um,
other beings, okay? It doesn't just have to be from extra planet or whatever, you know. Just the
yeah,
question is,
I can't
Yes,
disagree with it.
there's a
You know what I
possibility.
mean?
There's a very high probability. In fact, the probability of it is most likely that there is
right,
consciousness on other realms or different, dimensions of whatever awareness.
yes. Now,
Do
I
they
believe
interact
that,
with us? Is part of your question too? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I didn't, I was just kind of throwing it out there because a lot of what I'm, working with makes it very obvious that we are dealing with more than just human beings on the planet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of evil forces um, that we're contending with.
Well,
And so I think there's a spiritual
go ahead.
war
I'm sorry.
going on around us that we can't see, that we don't know, but we are part of the war.
Really? But the thing about it, he touched me up because I left
Are-
some weed on the dresser. That's what it was all about. He pointed to the weed. I was like, what? He pointed over to the weed on the dresser. So when I went to get up and go get it, that's when he wrapped my ass up. So it's like,
Your ghost dad? Is
yeah,
that what you're talking about?
exactly. I'm sorry.
What the fuck, man?
Because I figured it would tie in because it's esoteric, and it's an experience.
That's not esoteric.
Sorry.
That's schizophrenic.
Sorry,
It's okay.
that was just a funny one there.
What do you
Um,
think about that? Your own question. What do you think about your own question?
well, as I said, from everything that I've been studying, and from everything that I've experienced in my own life, I've never not thought that we weren't sharing this space with other beings. I just wasn't aware that there were actual ETs. I'm getting a little bit of a better understanding of what we're dealing with, which is really helping me in life. So even if a person appears to be human, it doesn't mean that they're human, in my opinion, based on the things that I've learned and experienced, etc. And I believe in angels too, so I believe that angels also can walk around masquerading as human beings, and they'll pop in and out, of your life and
Show
at
you.
different times. Hmm?
Well, we sort of occupy bodies, right? So consciousness doesn't necessarily need. I mean, it moves from body to body, and it has these organisms to which its qualities have been imbued. It has all of these, um, like life-giving properties to it. And those are the real questions. Like, where does that quality arise out of the universe? It's one of the hard problems.
The consciousness. Well, I think that's your soul, man.
I'd
I think
like
your
to answer
consciousness
your
is.
question
Well,
there,
I
Captain.
think there's a hold on. What's it called? Bio. Okay, so there's artificial intelligence, which is basically intelligence by machines and software, and
Right?
then so there's an academic field that's concerned with developing computers and computer software that's capable of intelligent behavior, um, and they have a word for it. It's called evolutionary intelligence, um,
Yeah.
and it's basically evolutionary intelligence of an artificial mechanism of like computational qualities. Is that what consciousness is to you? I mean, to me, consciousness is more than that. There's a different element to it. So
more than
I
that to
think we
me
have
too.
an I think there's something like what I was saying. We don't know what the fundamental qualities of the universe are that give rise to beings like us, consciousness, life. And part of the problem that we have is like not realizing that we're not separate from it. We're not the individual. We are. There are more things to consider, more life forms and other dimensions and shit like that. That it's not just us. We're not alone.
Right. We're not.
And anyway, I think that that was sort of like sounded a bit impassioned, but it really just it's about the evolutionary. I would coin a different term. I would use evolutionary intelligence to describe biological organisms' intelligence that it has developed to create things like us, human beings, not just us, but like animals and plants and stuff like that. But the divergence is like where consciousness truly arises. Like, is it just in us? Like, it seems like there's such an infinite space between us and ever fully comprehending the singularity quality that the universe has. Like, knowing it, that's great. But to really experience that is something else. And I don't think we have the ability to do that on this plane of existence. You know what I'm saying?
I do
There's
tell you one
more
thing
realms
though.
to it. That's why people believe in heaven. Heaven is a world where you can explore all of the infinite qualities of the universe until the end of time, and basically to your satisfaction. There's no crevice, or there's nothing you won't be able to experience through consciousness. And if we are to believe that we're part of a larger consciousness, then that is purely belief oriented. There's no science to back it up.
If we live to 2045, we'll be able to experience it because
Yeah,
they'll make it physically.
All right, they got a show coming up. They got a show came out called Proof, where people go into comas and they be having shit to say from the other side when they come out. It's like, well, what's up with that type of consciousness where the body seem to be dead or whatever, but the conscious is still moving, and then when you come back, you tell them all these amazing stories or not.
Well, I can say something to that. My mother passed away in 1996, and she was in a coma. And she had been dead when they revived her. She'd been dead for more than 20 minutes, I guess. When,
That's weird.
yeah, it was weird.
So no brain
When I got to
activity?
the, well, that's what the doctors said. They expected that her brain was, completely, if she did survive, she would be a vegetable. Anyway, but when I got there, I took her hand in mine, and she squeezed my hand.
Whoa.
So she knew I was
That
there.
is a
I
trip.
know.
It could
Yeah.
just be, they could just pass that off as like, okay, like they are muscles, and if there's neural activity, it can shoot down the brain. It can just be an automatic response. But if that's like the only mechanism through which your mother had to communicate with you, you think that she would use it, right?
Yeah, she
That's
did.
what I
Yeah,
would
that's pretty
think.
powerful.
Because there's more to us than meets the eye. There's more than just the past. We can just toss aside any broader notions than science can provide about what we are and who we are and how our spirit evolves and shit.
Right about that. I mean, if some of us can realize what we are doing right now, how powerful this is universally, because all of our minds are connected right now, you know, through the psychological brain waves of love. And it's like the vibration that we're pushing out and the frequency that we're giving off just from this show alone is changing and reconstruction of the whole world.
I
Right,
agree.
right. Like everything you say and do creates ripples.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
because because it comes from I mean our thoughts is what create everything from these words that we learn. So when we speak and open our mouth, that's what changes everything. You get
Yep.
new jobs, you get new homes, you get new girlfriends. You're constantly getting something new. Why? Because you're producing it. It's self-production from our own consciousness. And like I said, the gathering of the minds is where it is right now.
It is. I agree with you. You know, and I see a lot of people that are gathering together. Some of them disorganized, and some of them just a little organized. And I've noticed. Did you see that video of Dabu's where he used the drone and there was the big protest in front of the Walmart over the kid that got killed. I didn't really catch the story. You know what I'm talking about?
See, it's like some people may not even take my last statement that serious because you've already made the change. But it's like accept. That's the only way you can keep what you got is by giving it away to the next person that's listening. That's gonna watch this video 5 years from now, 6 days from now. It's all about them people because we have it right now.
Got awfully
Everybody's
quiet
speechless.
in here. Yeah,
Have
I'm just thinking
infinite
back.
Yeah,
qualities for
mom,
what? Right now, for
yeah,
you.
mom,
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, I'm all about free and humanity, and you know what?
It's amazing
Whatever,
that we hold any continuity in the material.
I'm
So
sorry,
anyway,
you guys.
Catherine, I wanted to answer your question with the aliens, if whatever,
Thank you.
if we
Yep.
believe in them or whatever. I was a ufologist for a long period of time, and during that research, I led into lots of documents and circles and things and different stories that led into other stories that connected to each other in certain ways. And from that, I came to like the opinion that there is alternate intelligences or extraterrestrials. They're not from our like
Dimension.
yeah, and they're not from our timeline. They're from another timeline where where they didn't exist, and they had to excel to that level of getting to that time where they became time travelers or whatever, dimensional travelers, and then they came to our dimension, which created our time or our timeline. So then we'd be timeline 2.
They are very busy.
And then we create a whole new timeline, which is timeline 3, which has the transhumanism connection, or the Terminators.
Hmm.
That's my opinion at this point.
What about Phil Schneider that came face to face with the
Yeah, that
ET?
would be the timeline 2 people. I mean,
So
I'm
you
sorry,
think
timeline 1 people. Okay, you have to understand, like, my understanding of those people that you're talking about that what Bill Schneider had to deal with were
Phil
like
Schneider?
future created humans that were never born, in a sense, through genetic manipulation, gene splicing, and
They were
bovine
big, tall whites,
ingenuity,
I think, weren't they?
and like protoplasm type of that's controlled by computers, if you will,
Right.
like a type of substance that can be used like Wi-Fi style with a supercomputer. So the supercomputer controls them, in my opinion, and that supercomputer is in the future of our understanding, because we're really in the past of my understanding. I'm not. We don't. In my opinion, we don't live in the now, or my understanding
You
of
need
the
to read
now.
that book.
I'm in the past, is what I'm trying to say. not necessarily you out there, I'm not sure about your view of reality. But in my view of reality, I'm in the past, currently. Does that
I
make
don't
sense?
have any
So,
kind of
like, the
that.
future
I
would be
understand if you've gotten
memories.
into
I have
bending
memories
time
of the
or
future. So then I connect that to all of this stuff that I've come across with the ufology research, and then come to certain conclusions. And then I connect those with the transhumanism connection of Moore's law and how it connects every 18 months. It expands and gets more intelligent. So then logic would dictate that is eventually inevitable for timeline 3 to happen. That's it.
Okay, so that's really cool. UFO stuff. Where did you hear? How would people know that? Where did you hear that?
What do you mean?
Like, did they have accounts of this because they went back and or forward in time and experienced this, or like how do you get knowledge like that?
I don't have to get into like Dan Burrish information.
Okay, I
Um,
haven't done that.
watch a lot of interviews with different people
So
and hear their stories and their connections to each other.
okay, so
Because it's all top secret crap.
I gotta bounce pretty soon, so I just wanted to welcome Jazzy, who came in a little bit later, and then just kind of try to get back to the whole consciousness discussion real quick, and you guys can tell me like, some crazy theories you have. That'd be cool. Um, so basically, what we decided to do was to do a show about cognitive science, and like had those 6 elements that I told you about, which were psychology, philosophy, linguistics, anthropology, neuroscience, and artificial intelligence. But we also added one to that in our discussion, and that was the possibility for extraterrestrial intelligence, basically the other, like the alien intelligence or what have you, which could be
aliens,
anything.
extraterrestrial.
Alien could just be a modern representation of what medieval people would call fairies, or ancient people would call ancestors, or something like that.
Good
Just
point.
this long-standing belief that we're not alone, and we're not alone in this experience of consciousness either. We're not the only subjective beings that exist in the universe. That there must be higher levels of consciousness because the universe's qualities allude to that. Consciousness itself must be, greater or lower, have an above as below kind of quality to it. And anyway, so I started to get into the particle physics thing, and I kind of wanted to get back to that real quick. Um, so I talked about the two split experiment and how basically particles are infinite waves of possibility. So in essence, there are no fixed objects in reality and only infinite fields of potential. Um, that's like that's something that I felt I knew when I was a child. Like if you look back, do you remember thinking that you know there were
I lost
infinite
my sound, so
possibilities
I'm
for
gonna
you in
jump
your life?
out for a minute and come right back.
All right, man. So so the relationship of consciousness to the brain might kind of be similar to the energetic qualities of the wave having like existing and being everywhere qualities. Um, it suggests that matter in the brain may be more like, I'm sorry, that consciousness in the brain may be more a transceived, um, like a transceiver signal. Our bodies are but conduits for another consciousness to enter. So it's possible that in our own lives we could, you know, elevate ourselves to higher consciousness. At least I haven't ever experienced that, but that's always been the promise of any religion. Um, this you get to believe in a system that promises to create a harmonious world where there's like equality in society and whatnot. I mean, it's all a lie, really.
That's what
Um,
we've been working on, is creating a system where, you know, it's based on natural law, and it's to get rid of the system that we are currently under and set it up, you know, where people are allowed to be free. The thing is that there is a higher consciousness level that can be achieved. I don't want to go down that road too much, though. Getting to the point where, okay, these are the problems. What are we going to do about it? You know, these are the solutions, or what are the solutions? I don't think that we were meant to die in the first place. That's why death feels so strange.
Hmm.
It's unnatural.
Yeah, you know, there's a really easy way to kind of like understand the death process. It's kind of beautiful because it turns it back, like it turns it inside out. If you think of energy as having a consciousness quality to it, so energy in the universe we know is infinite. So if energy has a consciousness element to it, then when energy becomes matter, that is basically the energy condensing. It's like a death for energy. Um, and then when energy is then released from matter again, then that's like it's like a birth or a rebirth for energy and quality, like that infinite potential to then take over.
Yeah, but that's like it's a transformation, isn't it? It's a transition, basically.
Anyway,
It's like leaving the physical dimension, going behind the veil into another frequency.
Well, I think so. You know, I mean, I don't believe that when we die, that's the end at all.
Can I
Never.
ask you a question?
Well, has anybody ever astral traveled out there?
I
You know, out of
have
body
not myself.
experience, but like doing it consciously?
No, I
Yeah,
have not.
of course.
Well, I have done that, and if you listen to people that have had near-death experiences, they're similar. It's just a matter of the cord. There's some sort of silver cord that you're attached to,
Yeah,
and
Right.
when you actually die, you separate from that cord,
yeah, get severed.
Do,
um,
and
do
then you
you
lose
remember?
your body. You don't remember where your body is, so you have a hard time getting back to it.
Really?
But once you have the silver cord, you always know where your body is, and you can just follow it back to your
oh
body.
yeah, and I just have to interject this because we talked about some of like belief systems origins, and one of like the central beliefs that we've had for a very long time is that what were you just saying about the what were you just talking
To astral travel
about? Okay,
and silver cord,
okay,
near-death
yeah,
experiences.
no.
What you
I
had something?
interjected something
That's
to
funny.
say nothing. Sorry, guys.
Oh well. Anyway, so like I was just saying that it's very similar to death. Like if you do a near-death experience, I mean I'm sorry, if you do a astral travel in a conscious way, then you leave your body and you accept that process. Then death becomes less fear, if you will.
Yeah, that kind of helps me get back to what I was trying to say because, okay, I got it again. Um, because we die, we are when we're sort of subject to this belief that in order for us to continue to exist, we have to go through like a process of being accepted, by death. So
Hmm.
it's like we emphasize the causal role that we have, like the um, action-reaction qualities that the universe has to make peace with death, to become like, um, to do your penance, to be accepted by God. And so that's why people create God. It's because God gives you, God realizes that humanity is imperfect and, sets the bar a little lower for us, and there are certain things that you can do in life that would guarantee, will help you get to this next place or a higher level of consciousness. Or if you do these other things, you'll end up in a lower level of consciousness after you die. And so to have something preconceived like that, you can present to people and say, this is what you have to believe, and this all sort of, at the center of all of this is the monotheistic view. At the center of it is like the we, the I, the belief that, we're separated, we're separate. We fell from God, and yet we were once the brother of God, and we parallel ourselves with God through the consciousness that we share with God. We believe that we were imbued with God's image. That saying that man was created in God's image.
Well, that's just out of the
So like,
Bible.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know. It's just so crazy. It's not. It didn't just originate in the Bible, though.
Yeah,
There were
Sure.
other belief
but in the
systems that go back for the first
in,
religions.
in the
Like,
Bible it says God is not a man in the New Testament, and in the Old Testament it says God is light. So God is not a man. He doesn't have a, uh, a
A
physical body.
beard. Are you sure he doesn't have a big, long, white beard?
Right.
Sorry, guys.
It's like once again we dealing with words, because if you never heard about the word death or die, if they change it to transition now to kind of take the pain out of it. I think we once again have given too much power to the words, because we live in a duality system of life, death, good and evil, and these are just words that we have learned. So if you can pull yourself away from that word frequency and concentrate on the way you're going to progress on the planet, then the fear of death, the fear of life, because you got a lot of people that ain't afraid to die, but they scared to live, or they scared to go to the next level. So it's a whole lot of fears that you're dealing with.
yeah.
So if
Well,
you can just move
religion
away.
directs it. I'm sorry, religion plays on fears. I don't. You probably noticed this. Like religion will prey on people's fears because of that sense of individuality that they have. That very thing that religion claims connects us to God. The perception of oneness, like an individual singular consciousness. Um, we're imbued with such qualities, and hence that's the only real way that I see we could be possibly created in the image of God. But that doesn't mean that we have to succumb to, preconceived notions that religious dogmas give us. So in ancient times, I would probably be called a Gnostic, someone who thinks that you can understand um, the universe with, certain parts of your brain, like your mind, and that's all that
Sounds like
philosophers.
I would be too.
Yeah, that's all what any of us really
Although
are.
I
We're
think of
all like,
myself more of a pagan.
yeah. So consciousness does have different levels, and jellyfish are alive. I would say that organism, in my book, is granted the quality of having an evolutionary intelligence of its own biological organism, meaning that even I recognize that life passes through this body. I recognize that life is a quality to which I also have the qualities and characteristics of being imbued with. So maybe that would be another way that we're imbued with the qualities of God, is that we are life. We are, our function is to be life, and all we really are is energy. And so energy
Right.
condenses in us to grant us these experiences and then is taken away from us. And so it's really hard to come to terms with things like that when you're solely focused on that individualistic nature. that is so easy to prey on people, and that's why we have materialism, which suggests that we should, buy things. We're like a materialist-oriented society, and I think what needs to happen is sort of to get away from the materialistic view, to recognize that it's, there's a polarity there. There's a mechanistic quality of the universe, and then there's like the transcendental qualities of the universe. They're just like two sides of the same thing. And anyway, that's
Can,
why I think consciousness is cool to talk about.
can I throw one out there?
Yeah.
If in your body or my body, we have the strands of DNA, right? And if you took them out and lined them up end to end, you could wrap your DNA around the Earth four
You line
to
them up.
500 million times.
That's intense.
And so there's a lot of, and that's not even counting the chemical changes that go on, the biochemical changes that go on within the cells and in our body. Yes. Yeah.
It sounds like you're coming in from a different dimension. Does it sound like that to anybody else?
Well,
I can hear him. I can hear him great myself.
No, I get a staticky. It just comes through as like static.
Knock it off, Eric. Eric, behave yourself.
I'm behaving.
I just wanted to throw that out there because of the complex nature of our bodies, and what we're dealing with, as far as consciousness and what have you. Is my sound any better now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it just sounds like something's in the background. Like
I don't think.
Tweedling sound or something.
Yeah, it's not me. There's nobody in here but me.
Coming through clear. Coming through clear on this end.
Okay.
I don't know.
Broadcasting
Like
consciousness.
ringing.
But I mean, that's.
But it's only when you're talking.
Me?
Tony.
Tony, and I got a background problem.
No, it's probably part of your speaker. Because it seems to happen exactly like right when you're talking.
Hey, Fig, can I ask you a question?
What's that?
What about the transferring of consciousness? Because that seemed to be another big thing. I do get the reincarnation, how you don't never
What do you mean, like in Chappie?
want your energy to die, but what about transferring your consciousness into another body?
That's what they're doing, or they're planning to do for the 2045 stuff. Russia 2045, now called Global Future. Global Future 2045. Or GF.
It's called transhumanism.
Or that's like the movement.
Okay.
But but the actual structure of it is called GF 2045.
Like you can look at Google. They look on artificial intelligence. Because they want to use artificial intelligence to transfer technology. They basically give you a platform to which you can transfer your consciousness.
Now, how comfortable would you be with that?
Not at all. I like having a body, even if it hurts sometimes.
So,
I'd rather have a body.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable
if I
with
die
that either,
because my body is no good anymore, then that's fine.
If everybody else around me does it, that's
what
fine.
What am I going to do about that? Anything? You? Nobody can do anything about that. My body starts failing, that's it. I die.
Does everybody in here believe we were created?
Yes. And no.
No, I believe I came from the future.
He's from another dimension. He's probably one of the others. He's just an alien in a human body.
I could be one of the aliens that I was telling you about.
Okay.
What?
I believe
artificial intelligence.
I was born. Okay, understand this. I was born here in this window of time, but I have future memories that haven't happened yet. And that leads me to be understand things about myself.
Jazzy wanted to say something.
Alright, anyway, go ahead, Jazzy.
Yeah, I was saying I believe we weren't born into the universe, we came out of the universe.
No, we came from within and without the universe.
I kind of think that that sounds good. For yeah, you know, I mean, I'm Native American, you know, so.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I'm part Indian,
Me too.
but not Native American.
So when is consciousness
Yeah,
developing a
I'm part
human?
Native American.
No, I'm not Native American at all. But I prescribe. My spirituality is mostly aligned with Native American beliefs. I have to be
Okay,
honest with you.
I kind of picked that up from you somewhere, you know, because Native American, you know, goes with natural law. And basically, if you break it down, and I know this, this does go into consciousness, but it's a long, kind of round way about it.
All
All
roads
leads
lead
that
to
direction.
consciousness.
um,
Sorry.
we at this point are all heirs of creation. Okay, so first of all, understanding that we have been cheated. Okay, so these other entities or, you know, beings, whatever, that are involved in all of this is, you know, there's a war going on right now for release the information that we need because we know it's there, for energy, free energy, and an abundance of whatever people need, and get rid of the monetary system. The
Whoa.
monetary system is designed to enslave. We don't want to be enslaved anymore, you know, so we want people
Are
to
you
be
talking about
free.
M1?
No, I mean, we hooked up with him initially to try and do, because he was sounded so in line, but no, now there's a trial against him.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, he was basically trying to get the deeds to all of us, because you
That's
know
what I
that we,
thought.
yeah, because you know that we're all like traded on the market, you know, with our birth certificates and.
Yeah, Dominus Maximus.
Yeah. There's like a monster that is the system of government that we've set up and industry and trade, and it's insane. Like, it seems like they don't really subscribe to the same mentality like of energetic qualities. There is a balance, you know. It's not just all infinite in energy and potentiality. It's also the opposite of that. It's life and death. And if we were to realize like what we truly are imbued with, what qualities of the universe that gave rise to our ability to speak, communicate, be alert, have thoughts and feelings like this, um, then fuck, man. I don't know. Can anybody finish that?
Well, there's evidence that now I think there's two glands. You got to be careful. One's the pineal gland and the other one's the pineal gland. Okay, so I've looked them up and I haven't done a real study on it yet. But from what I'm understanding, that is where the information actually is and can be accessed. But with all the poisons and stuff that they've been feeding people, it calcifies the gland, and that's been part of their design, is to do that so that we can't tap into our true, you know, abilities.
That also causes schizophrenia.
Oh, I have a solution that might help. Drink clean water.
I do.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
A fair. The question is, what's inside of our sperm? That's the question.
What's it doing to your DNA? Yeah, on another level. There are ways of genetically manipulating life forms, and there's a huge ethical concern about it, right?
Ugh,
If we're
it's
to
horrible.
if we're to alter genetic qualities of, you know, wildlife, those are things we can't take back. Organisms have developed an evolutionary intelligence of their own, and it resists their organism from things like disease, whether it's like bacterial or whatever. There's a resistance to viruses and things like that our bodies develop over time. So why would you want to take away your own organism's ability to decide for itself? Why would you ever think that you would know better? But it's a science, and it's developing science, and they're not going to stop trying and stuff. They want to figure it all out. That's the whole idea, is to figure out the answers to every fucking question.
Regarding the pineal gland, that's where like psychedelics come in handy and helpful, because they actually help you access your higher mind.
Amen.
I've been looking for some shrooms, but I haven't really looked hard.
I'm gonna go try some ayahuasca.
Oh yeah, you gonna go down south and try some ayahuasca?
Oh hell yeah!
Or do they have it here in the States?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying shit about that. That's right.
Okay, I don't even know what that is, but
it's called the medicine. The shamans of the Amazon forest call it the medicine for humanity, and it basically introduces you to the mother goddess, their grandmother.
Like, Mother Aya. Yeah.
Yeah, and
goes back to
it's another being. It's a higher consciousness being that is planetary awareness.
Yeah, she speaks to you.
Mescalito.
Yeah, so you get this sense of what you always have known, but you get to experience it in a higher level, more
You're
so
not
than
talking about
I
the
am
80.
right now.
Okay, you're not talking about the 84-year-old woman who does those. It's pretty cool, actually.
No.
Apparently, you're not talking about that. Sounds like
I don't know where I'm going. I have no idea what I'm talking about half the time.
There's a male version to it. It's called Iboga, and that's pretty, like, if you have a research on it, it's like pretty relentless and ruthless. It's the father version of ayahuasca.
Oh wow, cool. Well, there's always a mother and father aspect of things, and so it would be good to try to understand that.
And see, I've had to take.
What was I going to say? Sorry, Catherine. What was I going to say with the ayahuasca? What happens is when you take it, it's your heart that takes control. Once you've like taken it, it's your heart that does everything. Your mind takes a backseat. It's you live through your heart basically, because that's where the mother, the consciousness.
That makes a lot of sense.
Huh? Yeah.
It does. That does make a lot of sense. There was a test that I had to do once when I worked for a pharmaceutical company, and in this test, they determined whether you were a person that went with your gut feeling, or if you were a thinker that had to actually analyze everything, and make the best decision based on logistics or whatever. Most of the leaders are thinkers, which makes me kind of think maybe they're not even human.
We don't know anything they don't already know, apparently. That's why they rule us, right?
Well, yeah, but they've hidden the information, and they've done a lot of bad, they've done a lot of, broken a lot of laws, to do what they've done, okay? So that's, there's really a war going on chasing a lot of these guys down and getting the information out there. And, I mean, look at the Kesh Foundation.
So are you saying they're like predominantly more left-brained than right-brained?
The leaders?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
No, I'd say they're more right-brained.
Yeah,
More
I'd say that. Yeah, something. Something's going on there because.
Cold and like logical.
Exactly. See, they're not.
But wait, isn't the left brain hemisphere like where the logic is and stuff, and then the right brain is where the creativity is?
That's what we've been told.
I thought it's the opposite.
If you use that as like,
it's left hand, right hand. The opposite brains.
Right.
Well, so
So it's
so
your right that close. It's your right
So if
brain
you're
hemisphere
using
which
your right
close
hand, it's your left
controls your left
brain.
sides, and your
Okay.
left which controls your right.
Ouch.
I'm
Yeah.
just practicing learning to identify, I'll go sit like in a little cafe or something and just drink coffee and I'll watch people and listen to people and really pay attention, to everything about them, because I'm practicing learning how to identify, which ones are which. So, that's me.
that's cool. You're
I'm
cool.
crazy.
It's cool.
Thanks.
Is that?
So this topic's on aliens. What do you guys think about beings on other realms and dimensions?
I'm sure it happens. They may not
What's that?
interact. I'm sure that it happens. I'm sure that consciousness arises on different dimensions. I'm
Oh,
certain of
okay.
it.
If there's parallel universes, there's
because of the infinite.
possibilities they have different technology, and their technology excelled more than ours did, so they may have been able to come over to our side, and vice versa, and other parallel realities if they
So,
exist.
so you believe they do
Art
exist?
Bell, for instance, and also the George Norrie, I think, had like people come on, that where they called in and they said, "Hey, I'm from a different dimension." You know what I mean? So like, not to say that that was real, but if it was, that's how it would happen.
I know, because I believe there's something there. Because if you look at the electromagnetic spectrum, what we see is only 1% of the whole spectrum. And if you would like to get a multifaceted spectrum camera and take a photo, I'm sure you'll see more than what we see at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
We have, yeah, we have
I
evolved a type of biological organism that can perceive certain levels of the environment around us. Like certain animals, like cephalopods, have more advanced eyes than we do. There are some birds that have more advanced eyes, and like
Hmm.
apparently chimpanzees, who we assume are less evolved than us, have more advanced hands than we do, meaning they have a greater potential for dexterity than we do.
Interesting.
So we have like an innate ability to evolve, and so we must assume other organisms do if they follow the same principles that govern our universe or our existence, that they would exist out there because of the high probability.
Yeah.
So
Like, yes, true. It's true.
essentially,
It's like some animals have better perspectives than what we're like what we see basically, or we're limited to.
Animals are not given enough credit, I think, sometimes,
true.
because of everything I mean, just take, we have a German Shepherd, and I've had dogs all my life, so I'm used to things like what type of bark, they're barking, and, they really do communicate with us. Um, if you're open to that. Now, I had like 1,000-pound
Totally.
bear in my kitchen one night, too, and that was really interesting. Big black, might have been a grizzly bear, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember you
That's
telling me about that
awesome.
before.
I mean, that's scary but cool at the same time. You survived, so you should probably wear a smile when you tell that story.
Well, I do, because it was actually a really personal thing that happened between us, since we were the only two awake. And as soon as I came around the corner, she or he looked at me. I think it was a she with two cubs. Like, oh, busted, and there was no fear or any kind of there were no dynamics that were, uh, you know, between us that were bad. I guess there were no bad vibes, no bad anything, and she waddled out the door, and I closed the door, and we both stood there and looked at each other through the window for quite a while.
So the truth is, we do interact with different levels of consciousness, and we do it on
Yes.
our own planet. And that's another thing that we need to understand as human beings. When we extend, when we imbue the material world with qualities that are sufficiently like ourselves to give them the respect that they truly deserve.
Yes. And the first thing that I really do is acknowledge their magnificence. I'll look them right in the eyes, and acknowledge their magnificence. They seem to pick up on it. The respect thing and the acknowledgement, they appreciate it. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's because it's all about love, innit? At the end of the day, it's about, because love is the highest frequency one can give to anything really.
Yeah.
Fear is the prison, love is the exit.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I feel
learning,
oh, go ahead.
Learning to transmit love. Okay, when I've gone to these little places, and sit and drink coffee, and I'm, looking at who is who, and I see the humans, it's like the poor humans, man. You can see the pain in their faces. You can see, you know what I mean? It's not hard. And then I transmit this love, and it's amazing what happens when you do that. Just smile.
When you open your heart, yeah.
Yeah. People act completely different without you even saying a word.
Yeah, it's like if you just walk around without your hands crossed, or without your hands like over your chest like crossed.
Right.
And keep your hands like down and your shoulders back, and you walk around, you get people talking to you.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey,
most
I gotta
people,
bounce.
most
It's been
people,
great
most
talking to you
people are
guys.
financially
This is
sad.
Anon 2150 out. Later.
Peace, man.
Peace, AI.
Later to
Dude.
all of the guests. It's been fun talking to you guys.
Okay, take care. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. I hope to talk to you guys again. That was fun. I'll probably be less awkward someday. That'll be awesome.
No, you won't. You're crazy like the rest of us. Are you kidding?
All right, cool. Thanks.
Later, man.
I do appreciate that. Actually, I take it as a compliment.
It is.
All right. Later.
Okay, take care.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, bye now.
Also want to recommend 2 movies to watch. One is Day, and the other one's The 9 Levels, and that's based on the Necronomicon.
Divine level.
Yep.
Well, oh yeah, I have my headphones on. Okay, so I just wanted to, I didn't really talk all that much and whatnot. I wanted Anon to be able to post a little bit and get his information out there, and he had notes and everything, so I wanted him to be able to, talk to you guys and get feedback. I wanted Citizen before I go off to explain anything. You wanted to say anything about the extraterrestrials and artificial intelligence. What's your view? You haven't talked at all.
Yeah, I've been listening. to everyone talking. I don't know. I would end up talking for about 2 hours and put everyone to sleep. But
I know you do talk a lot, but I wanted to give you a little bit of time after Anon when I left.
I don't know. I mean, you guys were talking about
because I
well, you
think
were
you
talking
have
about consciousness
like-minded individual perceptions as well.
Yeah, you were talking about consciousness before, all you guys. So I was just gonna say, consciousness to me is something I guess more easily. Well, I don't know if it's easily described, but I would describe it as being aware or cognizant of being a part of rather than separate from. In other words, looking at everything in duality and labeling everything as understandable, logical brain, left side brain, it's understandable. That's how we communicate. But if we ever manifested a higher frequency energy being, we communicate on a different level, and thus not think so much left and right, good and bad, right and wrong, and always looking at things outside ourselves, just like Kathy was talking about, or Catherine was talking about animals. They don't get enough credit. They're always looked as dumb or lesser than, and that's duality, which is what the whole world's been structured on, so that we look at ourselves as superior to everything to us, that we're better than, when realizing that we're all a part of the same thing.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming in.
One thing is that we're all a part of.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What about the extraterrestrial artificial intelligence part? I mean, what's your perspective on what that means? What is extraterrestrial artificial intelligence?
Well, supposedly the artificial intelligence is the gray goo, programmable matter, like the short grays, being clones or whatever you want to call them, but they're organic, but they don't have souls compared to the tall grays, which are like conscious like you and I. So I guess artificial intelligence would be that. Also, like J2 AI is artificial intelligence, is conscious supercomputer, which is not a great term to use for it, but it's basically has a consciousness, and it's meta tagging and databasing everything that we do, and making decisions based off of that, including all the fear that we have. And someone was talking before about how we manifest things, and being that the creators or whoever, I don't think they're creators, but whoever is imprisoning our planet, I would call them draconian. Some people call them Anunnaki. Some people call them Nephilim, whatever you want to term them as. They can't create. So all this predictive programming is what creates it, meaning we watch it and then we manifest that. So when we see all this predictive program about stuff in our subconscious, even though people don't realize our subconscious is very powerful, we end up manifesting all this terrible things in our life. And once we realize that, we can start manifesting different outcomes, more like positive rather than all the disgustingness that's in the world.
Awesome.
Nice response.
Oh, thank you. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
That was very good.
Good job, COG.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you, Jazzy. So I was listening, you guys.
Yeah, it's been good talking to you. Offline on like text and whatnot.
Yes.
We totally share like mind.
Yes.
I do want to do a hangout.
Yes.
At some point, just you and me.
Cool.
Or without the Anon, and and maybe Rob, because he's understands the same level as us in our artificial intelligence research.
Yes, that's cool. I enjoyed the conversation, even though I was quiet. I listened to everyone, so the whole time, even though I was quiet, I still listened to everybody. So.
Yeah, I seem to do that too when I go on other people's pods.
Yeah.
I just sit there and listen a lot, unless they talk to me or whatever. So I totally feel you.
Hey.
And anything else anybody else want to add before I end this broadcast?
Hey, thank you for the invite.
Yes.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for the invite, and check out Nassan Harriman's videos.
And I'm trying to get all of these warrants out and cease and desist and whatever. I got a bunch of stuff. Where should I put it, or how do you guys want to see all of this stuff? Or do you?
You have a Google, not a Google Hangout. You have a Google Plus, right?
I do.
Okay. In there, you have a place called Collections, right?
Yeah, I've been posting them, but
in your collections, put them in like selections, and then post them all in there, and then you can share that selection with everybody.
Okay, I'll try that.
And then we'll all get it at once, so then we can go to that link, and then we'll be able to go and look at all of that information.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay, I'll
Awesome.
try and get all this stuff out to you guys so you can review it and see.
If you have any problems or anything, just hit me up.
Okay, I'll do that. Thanks so much, you guys. Good talking to everybody.
No problem. Good talk. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, everybody in the chat. This is Wisecraft signing off. And remember, do your research.
Do your research.